Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have been joined by Harvey, a very good friend who's also a goalkeeper for Imperial Wharf.
Yeah.
Pulled up some great saves
hands.
for us. yeah, exactly, safe hands. But yeah, he's joining us today because we're going to do a preview for the Spurs Palace game, which we have Saturday.
Yeah.
And yeah, how are you feeling? Welcome to the channel.
Thank you, mate. I think it's my first time, right?
First time on the channel, welcome.
Happy days. There we go. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get a ticket last year, obviously to your first game.
Yes.
And that was obviously an amazing ground, amazing occasion. And obviously you got the win on the night. So going into it, I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a great away day as a Palace fan. And for once, we don't have any pressure going into this. That's the 4 games in, we're obviously sitting 4th in the league. And yeah, normally at the start of seasons, we're playing catch up. We tend to have poor starts to the season, but this time round, we can go into this game not feeling like we need to try and sneak a point or a loss isn't the end of the world here. So we can almost get a free hit at it. That's how I feel going into it at the moment.
Yeah,
for you, obviously, there's a lot more pressure on you to get the points in this one.
All of a sudden, because of one bad result against Newcastle, there's a lot more pressure on us to effectively catch up with Liverpool and City, and even like you guys. Like, we'll drop off eventually. But I mean, yeah. So what? Liverpool have won every single game. Man City obviously dropped points to us, but won every other game. And I feel like our season would have been a great start to a season if we didn't lose that Newcastle game.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then you got wins against Villa, you got wins against Newcastle, and then draws away to City and Arsenal.
Which is all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. Especially City, who have like won the league 2 years in a row now.
That's a real snatching
almost unbeatable, except for, well, you guys managed to.
There's a way to do it, not many know how to do it, but Palace.
The great teams couldn't do it, so
exactly.
Palace had to do it instead.
We'll teach you. No, you're right, but you're right though. Absolutely right. I think going into it for sure, there's a lot more pressure on you guys to get the 3 points, and not typically this would be I think typically you guys would get the points in this game. If you look at the history since we got promoted, especially, it's heavily in your favour.
Yeah.
I think there was
especially the home games.
Yeah, obviously FA Cup last year we got that win. I remember that. That was a good result for us. And I think Alan Pardew's first game in charge away when you came.
Yes, I do remember that.
Punching, I think got the
2-1
winner.
I was there for that one. That wasn't a great.
But apart from that, off the top of my head, can't remember us at the old White Hart Lane. We didn't get anything. This fixture typically is a good game for Spurs.
It is, yeah, and it actually has one of my favourite goals as well. Was the Dele Alli little flick.
I was there for that one. Yeah,
bang!
I couldn't believe that as well. It was 1-1 as well. So it was like a great point in. It was 88th minute or something stupid.
We've had a couple of games where we've had a last minute, especially like what was it? I think Ericsson a couple of years ago did the same thing. It was I think it was 1-0 and then 0-0, and then he just shot from distance and kind of just crept in that bottom corner. And
brilliant.
A lot of last minute winners you'd love to see, but hopefully it's not as stressful for us this time. Because I know that even the home game, like you said, the first game in our new stadium last year, that wasn't the most eventful game.
No, it was a bit of a poor game.
It was a poor game.
And even the goal, the first goal, Son goal, was a bit of a scrappy goal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Deflected around and a bit of a fumble.
So I think we can both hope for probably a bit more of an exciting game.
Yeah, for sure.
This Saturday.
What was your team going to be looking like? What would you say would be your starting 11 going into it?
The team's going to be a tough one again for us because we just found out that Lo Celso is injured. He got injured on international duty. So this is actually the kind of game I would have loved to have seen him start, or actually prove how good he is, because the previous games that he came on for Man City in the last 10 minutes. He came against Arsenal for the last 10 minutes. He hasn't really played enough for any of us to know how good he could be. And I'm like, okay, he's had a few minutes here and there. Crystal Palace could be at home, could be the perfect game to start him, and then he gets injured and is out for God knows how long, 6 weeks.
It's not as bad as it could have been though, because you had all your new signings.
Yeah, we had. I think last week or the week before, everyone, Ndombele, Lo Celso. We've got Jack Clark's obviously on loan, so we wouldn't have him as an option. And Sessegnon came to us injured, so we didn't have many options. But luckily this week, I think Spurs just announced that Ndombele, Sessegnon, Kyle Walker-Peters, and Eric Dyer, they've all come back from injury.
Yeah, it would have been handy if they weren't for us, not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, we would have had a very thin squad if that was the case. But luckily, I think we've got a few players coming back. I think Ndombele can probably go straight back into the team.
How are you guys going to set up for at the back? I assume that's the way you'll go on from here.
Yeah, definitely, and recently as well, Sanchez just got injured, so we couldn't really do a straight
It might be a bit of a good thing that though, isn't it? Because he has had a bit of a shaky start to the season, to say the least.
He's had a bit of a shaky start. Obviously, we've been very frustrated with the fact that Vertonghen hasn't been playing that often, and only really played against Arsenal, I think, because of the North London derby.
Why that is? Is it falling out at all?
Honestly,
maybe, or?
not a clue. It has to be a falling out because he played the whole of pre-season and did very well.
Yeah.
And there was no injury, nothing to suggest that he couldn't be playing, and was on the bench, just got totally dropped. And then obviously everyone saw he had a black eye. Like, you can read into that what you will, but no one knows. Like, we can all just assume it's just a falling out with either the manager or another player. But luckily, I think he seems to be seeing that he is one of our, if not the best centre back we have, and one of the best in the league. So
yeah, totally.
He's got to get back into the side. I think the Sanchez injury kind of forces his hand a bit and makes him play. So I think we've got a relatively strong team coming out this week. Just I think we'll go with back four, typical like Rose, Toby, Vertonghen, and provided he is actually fit, because they said he is, Kyle Walker-Peters right back.
BTEC Wan-Bissaka.
Don't worry, we'll give him about 3 years and he'll be taking that spot from him in the England
He's still in your team in 3 years.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a good point. We've got no idea. That's a funny one with me as well. Like, I can't, just the whole transfer around our right backs. The fact that everyone complained about Trippier for so long, got rid of him, happy days, and didn't replace him. Yeah. And I just don't think Walker-Peters is ready to be the first team right back. For sure. And then for him to get injured, then what? We had to play Sanchez right back, Sissoko's had to fall right back. It's just
a massive predicament. I think it, obviously from a opposition fan looking in, it's almost frustrating because I've got family members who are Spurs fans. I actually didn't know that. No, so there's a little bit of me that wants Spurs to do well for them. You know, not when they're playing us or when they're playing a game that affects us. I always want them to win, you know, but on the side. But there's always a part of me that I was looking at the whole transfer window. It was frustrating from an opposition fan looking in, saying that off the back of the amazing season you had last year with the Champions League, almost getting really close to winning that, you'd expect some sort of backing in that sort of area. Yeah. I know you did bring in signings, and it was some good signings. And overall, would you say it was an okay window in the end? Overall,
I'd say overall, I'm happy. I feel like it could have been better in the sense that a lot of the players we bought were replacements for others. Like Ndombele is effectively replacement for Dembele, and you got.
And that's the point. I think the main thing is that it's off the back of last season. You know how important squad depth is in a season, and it feels like you haven't really added much squad depth. And right back's a great example of that. Looking at your team, obviously, and it was similar for us. We didn't address the striker region and the right back area when Wan-Bissaka left. We didn't bring in anyone, so quite similar in that sense, and a lot of frustration on our part.
And I think the Wan-Bissaka one was it was almost inevitable. You could see how hard Man United were going in for players. And
for sure.
For such a great season that he had, I feel like it's very hard to keep hold of him. I mean, with the Zaha saga, it's a bit different because he's got such a massive price tag. So
that's going to go on until he leaves. So that's not going to for sure. There's stuff today that just came out about he's parted ways with his agent.
Really?
He couldn't get moved through.
Okay.
Which just
definitely he's just trying to wriggle his way out. Basically.
I'm convinced he will leave in January. I'm just hoping that the deal in January will be, he'll leave in the next summer. But the deal will be agreed.
So they've agreed with someone, but
that's what I hope happens. But we don't know yet. But anyway, what was the rest of your team? So midfield three.
Okay, so midfield, I think we'll go for a three of, I think Ndombele will be back. So I think it's going to be Ndombele, Sissoko, and Eriksen.
Yeah, strong.
I think. Yeah, we've obviously got Winks as another option. It's hard on our midfield now to work out what three works, because I think when we tried Winks, Sissoko, and Ndombele together, it didn't quite work, and we were missing that little bit of creativity with the middle three. So I reckon it will either be Winks, Sissoko, Eriksen, or Ndombele, Sissoko, Eriksen. I think the Ndombele Winks is interchangeable just because of the Ndombele injury. And then a front three of Kane, Son. And this is the tough one. I think, does Dele Alli get straight back into the side? I don't know. Dele Alli was obviously, like I said.
How do you feel he did against Arsenal? Do you think he was all right when he came on?
I think he did all right, considering he's been out for a while and pretty much just chucked into one of the most important fixtures of our season. It's a bit of a tough one to judge a player on, but I think he did well in that respect. So
of course.
I think, again, like I was saying about Lo Celso giving him a chance to play, I think this is again another game where I think you can afford to start Dele Alli. Like you've got confidence that he's good enough that he'll provide a good game, especially at home as well. Like it's always going to be a lot easier when you're playing in front of your home crowd. So I think either it's going to be between Lucas and Dele, I think, for that final spot. But it's a very strong team.
Sounds it. On our
go on. Give us your 11.
So we're going to set up. I'm very confident we'll set up 4-3-3, very similar to. Would you be set up 4-3-3?
Yeah, it was about 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, one of those. Yeah.
So we'll be set up exactly the same in my opinion, because that's where we've got our success this year. We obviously we played 4-4-2 First game against Everton, got a draw, then went into Sheffield United away, same formation, and that was the worst game I think I've seen in the last 2 or 3 seasons. We created nothing and was really poor, and then we reverted back to 4-3-3 against United, and obviously we've seen success in that, and then won at home to Villa as well after that. So I think no surprises there, we'll stick with that formation. Back four will be interesting because Mamadou Sakho's back from injury. He was out for a long time over the end of last season all the way through the summer, and I think he could make his first appearance. He came off the bench towards the end of the Villa game, but his first start. So I think Sakho will come into the back four, which would be Van Aanholt, Gary Cahill, who's been brilliant since he's come in. I'm surprised we managed to snap him up actually.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird. I was very surprised by that transfer.
Yeah, because even if a top 4, top 6 team, maybe they wouldn't start him, but to have that sort of cover in a squad, I think would be really good.
Yeah, especially with Chelsea's situation, given the transfer ban and stuff, and a lot of like Rudiger getting injured. It's a bit weird that they were just willing to let.
Yeah, and I think it's great business on our part to get him on a free, and his experience has shown through. Like, he was unbelievable at Man United. You could tell his experience and the way he marshalled the whole back four was brilliant. So he's been class.
I think that's important for, I guess, like teams like Crystal Palace, is that you have those experience.
You can say that.
You know what I mean?
Like, don't worry about it. You can say it.
But you kind of need those experienced players, and I think that's what we actually needed as well, especially going into like Champions League and the previous season. We just did not have the players that were used to playing at that level.
Well, someone who's done it, he's won everything, hasn't he, as a player.
And to be fair, having Llorente actually kind of made that difference as well.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought you let him go so easily, because I think he's a great option off the bench, and because every time he came off the bench, his goal rate coming off the bench last year was amazing.
It was crazy, and he basically sent us through to the semi-final as well.
Crazy,
of the Champions League, and we don't really have a backup to Kane. So again, that's another one that we just kind of let go without getting a suitable replacement.
Both seem to be doing that, don't we?
What's going on? What are we doing?
Comment below. What is going on?
Guys, what are we doing?
And then obviously right back we've got Joel Ward, and amazing his kind of career path, because he was obviously a massive reason we got promoted, and the first few years in the Premier he was amazing for us. And then Wan-Bissaka came in when he got injured and took the starting role, and it looked like at that point Joel Ward was going over turning, he lost a yard of pace that he didn't have to lose in the first place.
Hit the peak of his career, and now
he was on the down. Like when he came off the bench or in cup games, he didn't really play very well, and he thought he'll be gone in the next year or so. And then all of a sudden now he's our starting right back now that Wan-Bissaka's gone. And again, he's had a good start to the season. You can't really fault him in many areas. He probably was at fault away to Sheffield United, but again, it's a similar situation to you. We should have replaced Wan-Bissaka. It's not really fair on Joel Ward either. But we're in the similar situation, so it'd be interesting to see how that right-hand side for both teams is.
Definitely. I feel like it's almost like a target point for both teams as well.
Yeah, and as the season goes on, I think that there's definitely question marks for both of us in that area of the pitch. So that'll be the back four, and then midfield three for me would be Milivojevic, captain obviously. He's been an absolute rock in that midfield. 11, I think it's got 11 goals last year and 9 were pens. So from the spot, if there's a pen, watch out.
I know he's in my fantasy team because of that reason, really, so hopefully he doesn't get one this week.
With VAR, with Zaha and everything,
well,
it's a great year for even more pens from him. That's what we're thinking anyway. But next to him we'd have Chiarte, and probably, and the third spot will be interesting because we started with MacArthur with the other two. Against United, and obviously we were looking to defend really deep, so that's why we had 3 fairly defensive midfielders, and then Beaumont on the counter-attack. We did the same against Villa, which ended up working, but it was probably too defensive on the day. So for me, I think you will stick with that midfield 3 and try not to change. Roy Hodgson doesn't really like to change things up if things are working. So I think it will be MacArthur in there, but it could be Max Meyer if you wanted a bit more creativity. And then the front 3 will be probably Townsend, Zaha and Jordan Ayew, who's done very well since signing for us actually. So obviously not the star-studded lineup that you had.
Well, I mean, that's still
getting the job done.
Yeah, that's still a good front 3. I mean, Zaha is a player that obviously I've admired, and I think Spurs in general have admired, and we obviously wanted to sign him a while ago and could not agree a fee. And I think he's a great player, and like you said, especially with VAR, his trickery, can do anything in the box, attack our right side, and could cause a lot of problems. And Townsend being an ex-player, I mean, one of the players I loved at Spurs.
And he just reciprocates, isn't it? So he's got a massive soft spot for Spurs, coming through the youth system. And
Yep.
Same because he was wasn't he at the Champions League final or semi-final? I think he was in
Yeah,
the
he was in the final. Yeah, I think he was.
yeah, so I think he'll always try and playing against an old team, you try and
you
do your best.
Prove a point as well. You're kind of yeah, this is what you've been.
And
missing.
in a way, I think since he came to Palace, he's had a bit of a revival in his career.
No, I agree. 100%.
He was looking a bit when he went to Newcastle and then went to Palace. He started off quite slow at Palace, and then obviously that goal at City was a big turning point.
Yeah,
in
I
his
think
career
he
as
did.
well.
What a goal that was as
Unbelievable.
well. I think he had a pretty great season for you last year as well. So.
Yeah, one of our players of the season for sure. Got a Puskas award nominee for that goal as well.
Exactly.
Didn't win it. But.
Banger. I mean, he should have done it. It was ahead of.
Score prediction.
Score prediction is this is a tough one to call this week. I think I'm going to go for a favourite. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely one of those games.
I get what you mean by favourite. Yeah.
I feel like we're going to concede just because whether it be a penalty with Milivojevic or Zaha or Townsend do a few of their trick or use their pace. I think somehow we're going to concede. However, I do think that our team is strong enough and we've got enough firepower going forward now that I think we can get a few goals at home. And again, like talking about proving a point, that's kind of something we need to do now as well. After being 2-0 up against Arsenal and kind of throwing that lead away, and then obviously losing to Newcastle at home is just not the result that we need. So there's a massive point to prove for us.
Would you say pressure on Kane to pull something out?
I don't think for him, to be honest with you, because I think he's obviously been doing very well for England, scoring goals, scoring penalties there. I think he's kept his form going through the international break the past couple of weeks. So I don't think there's too much pressure on him. I think he's a great goal scorer. I think it's more down to those injured players coming back into the side, like Dele Alli, like say Cole Walker if he starts. I think there's points to prove of those kind of players because they don't want to let the injury kind of get to them and then kind of their form drop. So I'd say 3-1. What about
3-1
you?
for me. We've had a good start to the season, and it's very rare I say that as a Palace fan. So I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
I'm going to say similar to you. There's no way we keep a clean sheet, in my opinion, at your place. Because for the points you raised that you almost need to get a result here. So I think if your team are on it, there's no way we keep a clean sheet against you. We'll do what we do best, and we'll sit deep, look to frustrate them. With Cahill in the back, I'm confident we won't have too many errors. We'll be defensively sound, and structured, and then look to break quickly with our front three, of course. And I wouldn't write off Jordan Ayew as a Spurs fan. I think that the way he's obviously not a glamorous name on the team sheet, but the way his work rate has been unbelievable for us, and a big reason why he's got the goals he has and the results we've got.
That's probably why. If he's going under the radar, then a lot of
teams has been going under the radar, and it's crazy because last year was. There's no other word for it. He was crap. Really, in my opinion, he did a lot of running, but not much else. And I think it's since he signed permanently in the summer, and it's almost now official. He's officially our player.
And reassurance.
I think maybe there's a little switch up in his approach to games or something. I don't know, but a switch has been flicked, and he's definitely more clinical now. So I wouldn't write off Jordan Ayew, and I think that I'm going to go bold and go for a draw. But for me, as long as we see a goal away at one of these top sides, it's something for an away fan to get excited about, and we'll be loud as we always are as away fans. So
yeah, I think you guys will be great.
Game. That's all we're looking
I think
for.
That's because it's been boring the past couple
exactly,
times, especially when we're obviously as well, but when we play lower table teams, it's the atmosphere can be quite dry. At the same time, it starts off really well.
That's the same with all the top teams.
It starts off really well, but then if you've got nothing to chant about because it's not an exciting fixture or there's not been goals or something,
make it as boring as possible.
Yeah, you can't expect any team to really just be singing throughout the whole game. I'm just looking for an exciting game, have a good day out, and hopefully we get the win as well. And to be honest, if you do sit back and play very defensively, I think we will struggle against you. And that kind of happened with Newcastle. We find it very hard to break down teams that kind of just go at us and just sit back and defend and kind of, like you said, frustrate us. And then especially with the pace and the power you have to counter-attack, that's an easy way to get a quick goal. Whereas with us, if you were to go more attacking throughout the game, it's far easier for us to pick up the ball and then
that is
find
our
the
problem, though.
spaces.
We don't have a plan B as such. That is our plan, and if it doesn't work, we may change up to 4-4-2 if we're trying to get something out of the game. But there is no system to that. We just switch formation
and just hope
and
that
nothing really. And you can't see any tactical switch. Obviously, formation technically is a tactical switch, but you don't see any change in the way we play. It's normally we just go direct because we got another man up there. And so for me, if you go ahead, that's a massive step towards you getting a result.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard.
His first goal will be massive, in my opinion, for this game.
Definitely. Well, I think that pretty much covers
Covered a lot there, actually.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
Decent.
Well, thank you very much for coming onto the channel. I appreciate that.
Mate.
Obviously,
Debut.
everyone.
Let's go.
Yeah, debut. Very, very good debut. And make sure to check all of his socials out, which will be in the description below. And I was going to shake your hand for good luck for this weekend.
Good luck, mate.
And
Look forward to it.
yeah, hopefully we win. See you guys there.
No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without a boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know